There's a saying that old dogs can't learn new tricks. That is not applicable to Pep Guardiola, as we saw a different side of the Spanish tactician. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolisi. I'm thoroughly excited to be on your screens once again. It's a loaded show with plenty of conversations. Don't forget, we have the Tipsters Corner where we give you all the very best tips from games this weekend. Once again, it is Edwin on set alongside my homeboy Bankole Oladuni. But before I bring him on board, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll delve straight into action, and this time we're starting from the Emirates. Welcome back. We have good news for you. Congratulations to the Sports Pizza family. We were voted the best sports show at the 2025 NEMSIA Awards, and this is not possible without you, our esteemed viewers. Bankole, I'm so happy.
Yes,
excited.
I'm excited. I'm not Dembele or I'm not winning the Ballon d'Or, but these are the wins we would pick up along the way. And shout out to our listeners and our viewers. Even from TV to YouTube, you've had our back. Without you, I don't think the lights will be on right here. And Sport Pizza is nothing without you guys who have supported us all along. And Edwin, it's always a pleasure doing this. You brought in new attackers. You have Izzy, Gyökeres, and Madueke. Saka was on the bench yesterday, and yet he still kept the brakes on. You know, when it came to attacking City. So I think I was a bit disappointed with Arteta, but about the result, I think Pep Guardiola will be much more disappointed.
Talking about Arsenal, the midfield combination of Merino, Zubimendi, and Declan Rice. Are the criticisms of Merino fair and just, or do you think it's been blown out of proportion?
I think it has been blown out of proportion because you look at the combination of these midfielders. You have Zubimendi, who is the defensive midfielder, and also you can say the deep line orchestrator, because I don't think he's a playmaker. You have Declan Rice, who also has an assigned role in that midfield, the box-to-box guy, the guy who will cover all the grounds. What role is Merino playing in that midfield? Because if you want Merino to play the same role as Declan Rice, they would occupy the same space. Merino is a guy who also likes to crash into the box, also likes to cover grounds, and you can't have a midfield of those two, working in tangent. Especially when you have nobody trying to orchestrate, trying to play as a playmaker up front. So I think you are shifting him into a position where he's not necessarily, he can't play at his best. Merino as an 8, who covers grounds, who times his run into the box, we saw him with Spain, and we've seen him even at Arsenal. We've seen him at Real Sociedad. He's the type of player who plays alongside the defensive midfielder. At some point, we wouldn't see him play as a defensive midfielder. So I don't think he has an assigned role, in that midfield, and I think that's just down to Arteta. You can't shoehorn all your 3 defensive-minded midfielders into a game at the same time. So it has to be Arteta's fault, not Merino's.
Is this a mentality that could cost Arsenal the title? Because you listen to ex-pundits after this game, someone like Jamie Carragher said, it wasn't an elite mentality. Roy Keane also joined the bandwagon. Is this true with this Arsenal side that Arteta has to change the mindset of settling for a point or not losing in games like this? Whereas in previous times, City would have gone for the win, Liverpool will go for the win, Prime Manchester United will go for the win. Is this a mindset thing?
Yes, I think it's a mentality thing. I think when people talk about mitigating risk, sometimes it just sounds preposterous to me, because you look at the top players, you look at the elite teams. The elite teams attack without necessarily neglecting defense. You have players who can generate chances without necessarily neglecting defense. You have players who can do both sides of it. So you look at Arsenal, you look at the amounts they've spent in the transfer window. You look at the players they've brought in. Is to be able to replicate that of an elite team, is to be able to generate chances without having it each or two at the back. And that's the problem with Arsenal, with Mikel Arteta. I don't think he understands the concept of negating risks with also creating chances. He keeps on doing this thing. He keeps on prioritizing caution instead of platforming his best attacking players. And when you consider certain context also, this City team has been for the lack of a better word, has been rubbish defensively.
Yeah.
And yet you are still holding back. You are still putting on the brakes. It is. We've seen it repeatedly. Once is a coincidence, twice is a mistake, 3 times is a pattern. So I think for Arteta, it is a mentality issue. And if he wants to win the Premier League title, if he wants to win the Champions League, you would have to beat some of the best teams. And if you keep on prioritizing, if you keep on obsessing over control instead of optimum attacking performances, you can't win anything.
All right, Bankole, let's talk a bit about Pep Guardiola. You look at Manchester City; they're currently 9th on the table, 7 points from 5 games. They've dropped 8 points already. Level on point with Manchester United, who we all agree are struggling in this moment. Now, you take this back to City last season. Yes, they ended the season well, but the early part of the season, that's 24-25 season, we saw a City side that were shaky, in shambles, and was seeing that exact City in 2025-2026. Now, here's my question. Are Pep's power waning due to life's timeline? Or do we have managers who are gradually stepping up to that Pep Guardiola level? Which is it?
I think his powers has been winning for a very long time now. And the reason why we've not seen it on full display, it has been in recent years, is because he has had X-factor players who have negated the weaknesses in that system, the weaknesses that managers have tried to take advantage of. Because you look at City this season, and the difference between them and the title-winning season of 2 seasons ago is KDB. A player like KDB. Even the difference between them from last season and 2 seasons ago was just down to KDB being unfit or father's time catching up to KDB. Yeah. So you look at the system, and I've said it several times. A system is one that prioritizes control, and with that you have a lot of passes, a lot of you hold on to the ball, you control the ball, a lot of possession, and without a player who can take risk, without a player who is capable of taking risk, like KDB, you won't have any end way. You won't have any chance of creating something out of the blue. So you look at it from last season to this season. It has always been 1,000 passes without the deaths. Usually it's always deaths by 1,000 passes, from Barcelona to Bayern Munich, even to his early days at City. So I think it's also the fact that he can also go into the markets and buy players who are overly better than everyone else. I think in terms of talent, it is a much more level playing field than it was a couple of years ago. You look at the likes of Ryan Sheki, Jeremy Doku. The only X-factor player is Haaland, and I think that's the reason why. Or the only X-factor players that is in the squad right now are Haaland and Donnarumma, and you can clearly see how he's trying to evolve to play to the strength of these guys. Donnarumma is not a ball-playing goalkeeper. He's not one that would help you pass out from the ball. He boots it forward to a traditional number 9, who is tall, who is a target man, and then win the ball. And then hopefully one of the players will win the second ball. So you've seen it consistently. Even the game against United, it was mostly like that. Against Napoli, it was mostly like that. And against Arsenal, we saw a repeat of it. All
right, from the Emirates, we head straight to Old Trafford, Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1, and much of the talking points was from the Chelsea camp, Bankole. What exactly was Enzo Maresca's plan?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And the only logical explanation is that his naivety showed. At the end of the day, he's still a young manager. His second full season at an elite level, and you could clearly see from his decision making that he was quite naive. And once you get a red card, from your goalkeeper gets a red card, and you are panicking, it says a lot about where he is as a manager. You took out Estevao and you brought in a defender, which is okay. Which I don't think anybody will complain about that. But instantly you are taking out the Pedro Neto, and you're also bringing an extra defender, which means you've taken out legs that can counter-attack without necessarily having any other plan than to defend for 85 minutes. And you're playing against a Man United team that are not exactly all that either. If it was a defender who picked up a red card, it would have been understandable. But you have full complement of your starting defense, full complement of your starting midfield, and yet you're still panicking. I think an experienced manager would have waited for a bit for at least 10 minutes to see how the game play out, to see the layout of the game before making any other substitution. But I think he panicked. He looked at the whole situation. He looked at how United started. He looked at the intensity, and he looked at how Chelsea was struggling, especially when you consider they also struggled against Bayern Munich midweek, and he thought it could be a drubbing, and he panicked and he made that sub. But yeah, I think it was just naivety. It was just his age, showing on the day at Old Trafford.
For Manchester United, Bankole, it was a big win, even though Casemiro's red card felt like it was going to go from 3 points to 1 point. But regardless, is this a potential turning point for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United?
No, it isn't. You don't get to play 10 men every week. So you look at that, and the performance itself against the 10-man Chelsea showed where United are. I mean, you can talk about the naivety of Enzo Maresca, but for Amorim, it's clearly a case of lack of know-how. Because I don't think he knows his best 11. I don't think he knows the best players to even fit in the system, especially when you consider what he's been in the job for 9 months. And against a Chelsea team that were up for the taking, you still lost control of the midfield. You still had Casemiro chasing the ball. If you were playing against a 10-man, I don't think Casemiro should be in a position where he should be getting 2 yellow cards. You should absolutely dominate the ball. You should absolutely hold on to control the ball. You are a go-up. It made no sense that they were still ceding possession to Chelsea. Especially when you consider the way they started the game. Chelsea were all over the place, and they were there for the taking. You had more bodies in midfield. You had Chelsea stuck in their half, playing with about 6 defenders, and yet they still controlled the midfield against United, and it made no sense. And going forward, also you look at decision making of some players; it was quite questionable. I like Brian Mbeumo, but he has looked out of it. United. You could clearly see that he's an intelligent player, but physically, I don't think his body is capable of doing what his brain is telling him to do. And you can quite see Ahmad. I don't know. Is no longer a young player. He's running out of excuses. Last season, it was down to probably new manager. He's playing as a wing back, playing as a right winger. But now it's just down to simple decision making that he has lacked over the time since the start of the season. For Patrick Dogu, I can't even blame him, because you have a left back playing as a winger. You have a left back playing, most of your final balls into the box, which, like I said, is a case of lack of know-how from Ruben Amorim. So I don't know. I just think this is not a turning point. It is not a performance that inspires confidence. It's not a performance that scares anybody going forward. I don't think it's a performance that scares Chelsea. If they had played an extra 5 minutes in that game, they probably would have equalized. So I don't think it's a turning point until Ruben Amorim shows or proves that he's ready to evolve.
United have 2 winnable games, Sunderland and Brentford. But
how winnable is Sunderland?
Before we go to break, in 30 seconds, Bruno Fernandes 100 goals for Manchester United, the 4th midfielder, after Bobby Charlton, Paul Scholes, and Ryan Giggs. Is he a Manchester United legend? No, yes or no?
He's not. Especially when you consider a team like Manchester United, where the standard or the criteria to become a legend is quite high. If he was playing for a lesser team, you would understand. But for Manchester United, he's nowhere close to being the cult hero yourself.
Manchester United fans, what do you think? Bruno Fernandes, 100 goals, 82 assists, and well over 250 games for the club. Is he a Manchester United legend? Let us know. Drop your comments on our social media handles. They are showing on your screen. Let's go on a break. When we return, I will talk about a lady who dominated the track for 17 years. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Edwin and Bankole is still in the building. And we head straight to Tokyo, where the World Athletics Championship went down. It was 2 weeks of fantastic, superlative display from athletes around the world. But hey, the lady who stole the show, she's done it for 17 years. The Jamaican, the queen of the track, Shirley-Ann Fraser-Price, finally waves goodbye to athletics. Over 17 medals at the World Athletics stage, over 8 medals at the Olympics. Bankole should be regarded as one of the greatest sportswomen ever.
Yes, absolutely. Especially when you consider the dominance, when you consider the longevity, which is quite rare for women in athletics. She is the rare exception, if I can put it that way. And for the entire 17 years, she was absolutely dominant. She was absolutely at an elite level. And you can talk about, at what points did she have competition? At certain stages, it felt like she was the only one on the circuit. But you can't take that away from her. You run with who you are up against. And from
it was a stacked field.
And even the reason why you can compare eras with athletics is because there's a time. You can look at the time and you can compare it to any other era, you know, in history, and you can clearly see that she's one of the greatest of all time. And congratulations to her. She was given a talent, and she ensured that she had displayed that talent to the full display of the entire world. And hopefully, we'll get to see someone else step up and take the mantle from her.
Still with the World Athletics Championship, the United States, as expected, dominated the medal table with 16 gold medals, 5 silver, and 5 bronze. Kenya finished second on the podium with 7 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals. You have Canada in third. Netherlands finished fourth with 2 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals. Botswana, New Zealand, Spain, Sweden joined fifth with 2 gold medals and 1 bronze medal each. We have 2 African countries in the top 5. No Nigeria. Nigeria is joined 27th. With 1 medal, Tobi Amuson's silver medal at the 100 meters hurdles. I don't want us to lament, but back in the days, we used to be the toast of the world, even in athletics. These days, Botswana, who are known for long distance races, are dominating the sprints. You have Kenya, who have always dominated the long distance races, and there's Nigeria, who has regressed over the years. Bankole, final take.
I don't think anybody's surprised. I think it's quite clear that the only time you can win a medal is just by an exceptional talent. It's not down to planning, nurture. It's not down to planning. It's just down to someone being extremely good. You know, that they can jump over the hurdle, literally, with Tobi Amuson. For Botswana and Kenya, this didn't happen overnight. We've seen them, make plans. We've seen them, invest. Yes, Botswana in particular. You see them, take their athletes to the United States Championship, just to see how they can improve, just to see how they can ensure that they compete, for medals. And we're seeing the dividends come out like this. It's not a surprise. I mean, the Botswana government are steadily sponsoring their athletes to go to colleges in the United States. Not because they can't educate them in Botswana, but because they know that the best way they can compete, the best place to, nurture and whatever talent that they have is by competing against or using the facilities at the United States, who are the number 1 or probably number 2, nation when it comes to athletics. So it is not a surprise. Same thing with Kenya. I don't think anybody should be shocked that they are getting the result, especially after the work they've put in.
By the way, Botswana became the first African country to win the 4x400 gold medal at the World Athletics Championship. Salute to Botswana. South Africa also, shout out to them. They finished third, took the bronze medal. United States sandwiched between both African countries. It's a win for Botswana and South Africa, much more a win for Africa. Let's go on a break. It's time for our video for the week. When we return, we'll give you the Tipstars Corner. Welcome back. It's time for the Tipstars Corner. But before we go into that, Bankole, spare a moment for Gabriel Martinelli, who got the equalizer. You could see the expression. It was more or less like a relief on his face following the criticisms he's gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And consecutive games where he has come off the bench to score the winner, or at least the leading goal for Arsenal. You look at Martinelli, you look at how he has played under Arteta, especially the high that he got a couple of seasons ago. He has failed to replicate that form. But I'm sure going forward he would be causing a couple of headaches for Mikel Arteta.
Straight up to our Tipstars Corner, we have 2 games for you. 2 big games, in fact. Milan versus Napoli in the Italian Serie A, and the Madrid derby, Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid.
For Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid, it's quite clear that Atletico Madrid have forgotten how to play football. You look at how they've started the season, especially the game against Mallorca. It was quite disappointing. A late goal, and yet you still managed to lose that. Julian Alvarez also losing a penalty in that game. You could see his expression after he got subbed. Also, he was quite disappointed in himself and also the team as a whole. But I think Real Madrid should do enough to win this game. But if you are not, if you are Mikel Arteta, you want to negate the risk. You can go with a 1-up. You can go with a double chance and under 4.5.
For Real Madrid.
Yeah, you can also go with a Real Madrid to score or a multi-goal for Real Madrid. 1 to 3 goals would looks like something that you can take value from. But whatever it is that you are doing, just sway to the side of Real Madrid. I think they will be winning this game, regardless if it's at the Wanda Metropolitano. For Milan against Napoli, these are two teams who have started the season well. Aside from the hiccup against Cremonese, I think Milan also have grown by each game into the season. The performance against Udinese showed, and they are capable of scoring and also shutting it at the back. Modric has been the best midfielder in the Serie A this season. But Napoli also, I still think they are going through some sort of evolution, especially with Antonio Conte. Trying to show on his 4 midfielders, Scott McTominay playing as a force winger. We've not seen them at their optimum best. We saw they could be taken advantage of in the game against Manchester City in the Champions League, and I think Allegri would also take a cue from that game. But I think we'll be seeing goals over 1.5 in that game, regardless of how defensive-minded both managers are. I think goals would be coming in. I don't think anybody will score 3 goals in a row. That's an option. Yes, that's an option. A first half under 1.5 also seems something that you can bank with, but. Over 1.5, first half under 1.5. Milan to score also seems like something you can bank with. But yeah, no team to score any 3 goals in a row. No team to score 3 goals in a row. I think is something that you should bank on.
All right, there you have it. Remember, Sports Pizza is not responsible for any bet loss. We'll only give you expert opinion on the likely outcomes of this game. So ensure you bet responsibly, and you have to be 18 years and above. That's where we drop anchor on today's show. I'm sure you've had fun with us. Once again, congratulations to us and to you also, our viewers. Sports Show of the Year 2025. Bankole, of course, always a pleasure doing this with you. This is a win for the entire family.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Edwin, for having me. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. And we'll continue, like you said, to put in our best work, putting our best foot forward to ensure that we bring the best entertainment, sporting package for our viewers who have had our back all along. And from me to you guys, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week.
And from me, Edwin Onyeboli said, do have a sporting week.